um, but then, so here, 5 months, I was basically just following everything that people usually do. I was applying for roles on LinkedIn mostly. I created some other accounts on other platforms like Indeed and a few other ones that I don't remember. But mostly again, I applied on LinkedIn, and in total, I had over 450 applications during those 5 months. I got out of those 450 applications, I got 15 interviews with 15 different companies. And so you can see that probably the stats are one interview, 30 applications, right? Which was, I think it's horrible because it's like it's exhausting, right, to apply. And also, whenever you apply a lot. So let's say in one day I submit like 30 or even 40 applications or even let's say 20, right? And I don't hear back from anyone. It's like mentally draining. And it's also uh, like you are kind of doing a lot of work, but you don't feel the result, right? So that's basically detrimental to your mental health. Um, and after you do 450 applications, trust me, it is very, and you don't get a job, it's like very, 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 very sad. So, anyways, out of those 15 interviews, I got, so three companies, I got to the final stages. So basically, it was the last interview. I completed that. So the first one, I think it was like th three interviews. So I got to the final one. And it was like after around 2 months of my job search. And I was like, okay, this is the role. Like I really liked interviewing with the team. It felt, like the right position. Everything was great. The interview went very well. I connected with the team very well. And then I get a notification. I wait like a week and I'm like, okay, something is wrong. Like, why am I not hearing back from them? And 2 weeks later, they basically notified me that the role got canceled. And it was like super, like it was horrible, honestly. I Yeah, I got sick, like literally physically sick. I was like in bed for a week because I was so like, I was so hopeful that that would be finally, the job, but it was. Anyways, I can talk a lot about it, but generally, situations like this can happen as well, right? You expect that even like after a fantastic interview, they like you, you like them, and then something doesn't work out, and that's it. Second interview, wasn't so second company again, I'm not mentioning names here because I don't want to, like I shouldn't due to like political reasons or whatever, but just generally sharing my stories, right? Second interview, I it was five interviews. I got to the final one. It was 3 hours long, and I it was also good. I completed like all the questions, answered them quite well, I would say. The only like feeling I got is that I didn't really connect with the team necessarily, right? So, you kind of have like you complete everything. Like I completed all the tests, I optimized everything, but then the problem, like it felt like it wasn't like something was off. And the next day, I just like got a one-line rejection, basically after 6 hours of interviewing with the company. And again, minus 10 points for my mental health. Then, and just FYI, it wasn't Google. So it's like, just to clarify. Third, so the third company, they basically just ghosted me after the final interview. I reply, like I called them, I followed up, and they were like, "Oh, we'll let you know later." And obviously, like no one just, reached out to me. Anyways, after those 5 months, this was me. Like I was like dead inside. I didn't want to do anything. I was like super drained. I like honestly, I didn't really know what to do because like again, you need money to survive, right? Canada is expensive. And and you also like want to be, useful. You want to do something, that you like because you my full-time job basically during those 5 months was to apply, right? Like countless applications, but also like something that I recommend, like while applying, try to work on something that or do something that you like, right? So in my case, those were like side projects, right? Like for example, I don't know. During this job search, I created my portfolio. I created like one platform for the community group, right, that I'm involved in, like some dummy toy projects and whatever, just like again to kind of prove myself that I still can do something. If you can take like again do some side work like contract work or part-time work, even something that you can get in your field, right, that still kind of just acknowledges your worth, do that because again this process, especially like with just plain applications, is very, like as I said, detrimental to your mental health, I would say. Now, after, so that was around like December. So after I got ghosted, like it was again like the end, like beginning of December or something. I like took a mental health break. I was like, okay, something is completely wrong. And I do not understand like what I'm doing incorrectly because I also attended events, right? I tried to um like like I was proactive. It's not that I was just like, sitting at home or doing nothing. I was putting a lot of effort, and as I said again, it was basically like my full-time job. So I was like, okay, let me revise my strategy again because I heard that like a lot of people they say, oh, network, try to network as much as possible, hidden job market and stuff like this. And I was like, okay, let me try and figure out how to actually do it. Just again, here I'm sharing high level statistics, right? But then later I will actually try to give you a more detailed overview. So I had after 1 month, like I started. So my first conversation here was December 21st, 2023, which was basically right before Christmas. So again, Christmas isn't an excuse. Honestly, it's kind of holiday season isn't very bad because people aren't busy necessarily, like in terms of like with work, right? Or at least if they're on vacation, I understand they probably like will not read messages or whatever. But again, maybe they casually like check their LinkedIn, for example, right? Just like scroll through their feed and they might see your message. So they still might reply. Right? So even if it's holiday season, just like again, say Merry Christmas. I'll share like the template structure and like I will actually share the message, the intro message that got me my job. But Anyway, so some stats I had in 1 month. So starting from December 21st, right? And then I landed my job on January 29th. Um, I had 62 conversations in total. 90% of those people were people that I didn't know at all. So I met them for the first time. So that's why, again, I will explain how you start those conversations, right? And how you kind of ex like expand it further. So December again, 21st was my first call. January 28th was when I signed an offer, and January 29th was when I started working. So it was like very quick. And another like benefit, I guess, of networking is that you can kind of overcome this, especially if it's like a startup or a smaller company, but also like generally, again, I will share later, you can kind of overcome some hurdles of being hired, right? And those like mundane hiring processes. But anyways, so out of those 62 conversations, I got one job offer and also three part-time job opportunities that I didn't take because like I needed a full-time job, right? But again, something, for example, if you're looking for a job, right, you might get something part-time and then eventually, just continue working and then you'll get something full-time as well. But again, mental health wise, I was very happy. I met a lot of new people. When I talked to people, I actually felt like, I'm doing something and like I see the results. Because now going to my next slide, um, about mindset, right? Think of it as one application. So application versus conversation. One application is usually ghosting or rejection. Again, we are talking in a global scheme of things. Like I said, that out of 450 or whatever applications, I get 15 interviews. So, mostly you feel like, okay, what is happening? Like I get constantly rejected. I'm getting ghosted. And again, as I say here, 1 point minus 1 point to your mental health. One conversation, on the other hand, it's one new connection, right? So, and it is firstly, it's one person plus 1% to your social capital, but also plus 1 point to your mental health because again, you're just socializing. You're not like in your dungeon or whatever. You're still keeping. You can ask them about the trends. You're still like like industry trends and stuff like this, or anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that it feels like way better, right? And this is something that I want you to think about, right? You still, while networking, you still can casually apply. Like, for example, you can set like a threshold for yourself, like make 5 applications a day. Like just randomly, you scroll through LinkedIn. Okay, make 5 applications a day. But again, it shouldn't be your primary job search method. What you should do instead is you should make focus on those, like you should focus on those conversations instead, right? Again, just because mental health wise, it's way better, but also, again, you're growing your network, right? So after those 62 new conversations, again, I said the 90 people were new, so probably like, again, I made like at least 50, I added 50 new connections to my network, right? Cool. Now, how do you reach out and then where do you reach out? And who do you target, right? So those are like some questions that I want to answer. How do you reach out? So by text, either like on LinkedIn, again, I'll share like different, probably I should have changed the structure, but let's see. Dun. Uh, Sorry, I was literally putting the slide deck right before the call. So it's probably not the best organization, but anyways. Um, I will follow this structure. If it's not the best one, I'll probably revise it, and then the next talk I give to for a similar topic, it probably will be better. But um, anyways, how to reach out to people. So either text them, right, or call if you can. If you can call them, so if you get their phone number, it's actually better, just because you can um, like at least schedule like a chat with them later. It's not that you need to discuss it right away, but at least like say, hello, whatever, this person recommended me to you, to 10, or like whoever gave this phone number to you, right? And then they most probably they will not reject, uh, right? And we'll schedule a follow-up like chat with you, a longer one, so you can say like coffee chat or whatever. And then also, or you can text them, which is mostly what I did. Again, I will explain where I found people later as well, but and I will share like a sample message. But anyways, first, like very important, who do you target, right? My first conversations. So again, like as I said before, it took me a month to find a job through networking. And basically, it's like 4 weeks, 4 weeks of nonstop talking. So it's like I had, one day I had even like, I think the most meetings I had, it was like eight different conversations in one day. I was like literally dead because like I'm an introvert. Like I don't like talking to people a lot. But so I was like super exhausted after that. But again, those efforts were worth it because at the end of the day, I still got reached my final goal. But anyways, who do you target? The first week, so the mistake that I made is during the first week, I tried to connect like with anyone I could find. That was at least somewhat similar to the field I was in. So again, I'm a software developer, but I would connect like with QA engineers, with data scientists, with whoever. Like it doesn't matter. Like as long as it was like in a tech field, I would be like, okay, let me just reach out to them, right? So, and basically my first week was just chatting with people who are my level, let's say like intermediate or whatever, right? And then like at that time, or or they were like even lower or a little bit higher, right? But they wouldn't necessarily be the ones who make the decision of hiring people, right? Um, so what you should do instead, you shouldn't connect like with random people. You should filter out your network to ideally leadership and someone who, so you should talk to someone who can be your manager or your like director or whatever, right? It can be again a CEO, a CTO. So again, when I was looking for a job, I connected with the CTO of a company, right? The higher you reach, the better. So even if company has like 100 people or whatever, feel free to like message like everyone who is like in a leadership or like management role. Um, but generally, um, like again, why do you want to connect with leadership or someone who can be your manager? Because they're the ones technically who make the decision of hiring you, right? So this is like an important concept to keep in mind. You need to be um, like you want to connect with a person who has enough power basically to either, at least give you an interview, right? And then eventually uh, hire you, right? If they like you. Now, again, as I said, you don't want to connect with people who are like on the same level with you. Let's say if you are a junior software engineer, you don't want to connect with fellow junior software engineers. You want to connect like again with senior level, right? Or with again CTO, whatever, director of engineering, whatever the role is, right? And again, it depends on a company size. But this is key here, okay? People connect with people who make a decision, hiring decisions. Ideally, again, you shouldn't reach out to HR directly right away when networking, just because, again, HR, they are involved in the hiring process, but at the end of the day, you will interview with the managers, with fellow senior software engineers, right? Who actually eventually will make a decision of hiring you or no, because they submit a feedback to HR or whatever, right? And then, um, so that's why I'm saying again, you want to connect with people who can be your managers, right? Or basically are higher, who can make a decision of hiring you. Does it make sense? Like generally? Cool. Awesome. Um, Now, again, the order is probably messed up, but whatever. I'll just like all the information thrown at you. Response rate. Generally, I will again share the messaging structure and whatever what that I used, but generally again response rate for um or actually let me find another slide and I think yeah where to find the first yeah okay who would be like the first people you connect with, right? You connect whatever, sorry, I was anyways. um Firstly, like the strategy that I used, right? I would basically go over my LinkedIn and all of the connections. You again, you might not have a lot, and that's fine. So you would probably ask your friends and go through like you definitely have some people who you probably know well, right? And go through their network as well, right? It might be bigger and you can be like, "Oh, I noticed you're connected to this person. Can you refer me to them or like can you introduce me to them?" But basically again, the first step if you have like a good LinkedIn portfolio, just again, go over your LinkedIn and filter ideally for CEO, CTO managers, right? And try to, or again, not necessarily your LinkedIn portfolio, maybe someone who you know well, right? And who like vouch for you and like say, be a good reference for you as well. It can be again, maybe a professor that or someone um, like again in your personal network that you know very well, right? So look at their LinkedIn profile as well. And there are also like filters, right? So on LinkedIn, I probably should have taken some screenshots, but basically, whenever you go and search for a like let's say you go on LinkedIn, you say CTO, so right, and then you go to all filters and you look like there is on LinkedIn there is a filter is connected to, right? So is connected to a certain person. So then you probably know like a couple of people, right? Let's say I have good friends like Bob, Mary, and they're like good references, right? And they will be happy to introduce me to those people. So I just go and filter, like add them that they're at connection of Bob and Mary. And then once you click apply, you will basically see all CTOs that are connected to Bob and Mary on LinkedIn. And then what you can do then is just like reach out to Bob or Mary and say, just can you give me an introduction to those people? I noticed you're connected, right? So that's like one way of finding people. Second is family, friends. So again, do not neglect this step because even when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I think I reached out to every like I felt like I exhausted all of the options, but apparently I had some connections that I didn't even know, like that I forgot about, right? So this is something that can happen potentially to you as well. Or like for example, those who are like your like I don't know, even like classmates or whatever, right? And maybe you still can initially talk to them, right, um about the company, and maybe they can like that they work at, and they can give you an internal referral that can be a potentially an option as well. But anyways, talk to your family, friends, personal connections. Look over your contact list on your phone, because again, I do not remember who like what people I have in my contact list, right? Just again, scan it, like dedicate like an hour or something, right? To go through all the phone numbers and anyone you can think of. Um, th Third is attend events. So again, GDG Waterloo is one, ideally in person, right? And ideally the ones that have this like networking component to them. Meetup and Eventbrite are great. So when I think so. I got my first interview like during this like job search 6 month job search journey. During my first week of job search, and it would basically because I attended it was a startup event, and there were a lot of founders. Like it was local here in Waterloo, and I would be like I just went crazy. And I just started talking to everyone. Like I didn't care. Like, I would be like, "Oh, hello, what do you do with Tititin?" And just like again, don't be like, "Oh, hello, my name is Tititin. I do this. I need a job." Like that's a bad way of communicating, right? You want to be like, hello, like what's your name? What do you do? Like what does your company do? Right? Especially after like the way the event was structured, it was like a bunch of presentations where startup founders would be like, oh, this is what we do and stuff. And I like there were probably like 15 companies in total. And I was like, oh, those like five out of those 15 companies are potentially the ones that I can work at, right? And I would be like, so I found like I took a note, um, and like with my photographic memory, memorized the faces, and just stalked them, I guess, until I could talk to them. But again, the way I structured the conversation, I was like, hello, uh, I really like what you're doing. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Kind of try to understand what problems they have, right? And then potentially try like let's say oh, I have experience with this, I can help, right? Or something. Like like honestly, the way I got this interview, they were like, "Oh, we really like your personality. Do you want to join our like whatever? Do you want to interview with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely, thank you." And it was super random, but like again, they do not bite. Like the thing that can happen is they will say no. Like there were people that looked at me like I was crazy, and I agree that it is an undeniable fact, but I just want to like again, kind of what like don't be scared. There will be people like most of the people will say no, right? Because this is but you just like increase your chances by talking to as many people as you can. And do like I'm really like I have a lot of skepticism towards like job fairs and stuff because I haven't found them like helpful at all. I attended a few. Like basically the way it's structured is like a bunch of like employers are in advantageous position there because it's only like 20 employers and 500 candidates, right? And it's just like the chances of you landing like at least an interview are all like very low, right? And you also need to sound like in those long lines to at least talk to someone, and I really don't like that like setting, right? Again, we are talking here about increasing your chances of landing a job, right? So you would go like try like in this case, I really wanted to find a job at a startup, right? So that's why I tried to find some startup events. And I even like drove to Toronto for a 2 hour event where I just could, talk to again founders and people generally. And again, I landed some coffee chats afterwards as well, right? Um, and anyways, I know that I have very little time left and I'm only on slide 9, but okay. Go to startup events, founder events if you're interested in startups or something, again, maybe like s local conferences, like for example, like Google Developer Groups Waterloo, right? We organize like DevFest, for example. So you can sign up to our platform, and when we post the event, right, we try to again gather as many people in the community as possible, like both like founders and uh, like different levels, right? And you will have a lot of people to talk to potentially there as well. But attend meetups where you can actually get an interview. So again, find something um, like on Meetup or Eventbrite. Again, I really like those startup events just because again, there um, you have more chances of like actually getting an interview because there are more employers than job seekers, right? Because basically every founder is a potential employer, right? And you can think of them and you and probably a few other people will also who are job searching, they will also join. But again, there will be like 5 people who are looking for a job and 15 people who are willing to give you a job, right? So that's like you're kind of reversing that. And that's why I really liked that setting, right? And those type of events. Now, I will mention about ADP List, but it's a very good platform, bookmark it, and I will briefly explain what it is all about. But um, it's anyways, just look it up and I will talk about it later. But again, and then after each conversation, you will get ideally um, like one or two people or two new people to connect with, or again, or you will get like a coffee chat, right? So let's say you meet them at the event, you really enjoy talking to them, and then you would be like, can we schedule like a 30-minute or 20-minute call with you like sometime this week? And most probably they will say yes if they like you, right? So, and then during this coffee chat, you will get again, ideally one or two new people to talk to, and you will get like again, and this is how you expand this reach, right? So again, you start with 10 people, but then again, you get another person and another person and another person, and this is basically how it works. Anyway, so response rate, right? So when I reached out to people like on LinkedIn, generally, so cold reach outs, what does it mean? People don't know you, right? You just found someone interesting on LinkedIn and you just like wrote them a message. So the chance of them replying to you is like 1 in 10. So let's say if you message 100 people, 10 most probably will reply, right? If it's a referral or recommendation, in terms of, again, it can be your friend. So as I said, like Mary, for example, is my friend, and she's like connected to another person that I'm interested in talking to. So if she refers me to that person, and like let's say in on LinkedIn you can create a group chat, right? So Mary can like create a group chat with me and that other person and say, "Oh, hello, it's like Oleksandr wanted to talk to you. He's a very whatever, right?" So and then most probably like it's probably even more than 50% chance, but again, they will reply and at least schedule a conversation with you. And if the person knows you, right? So again, it can be from school or it can be like your professor or it can be someone that you met. Like this is actually, do not underestimate this. Because if you met a person during an event or at an event, it would be like they will feel, and you talk to them, right? It's not just that you saw them, but you talk to them. It will feel like they actually know you, and most probably they will reply, right? Just try to do it like within the like 1 week of the event, because otherwise they can just forget you. So, but again, the goal of the message is to give you like secure a 20 to 30 minute conversation with them, with a specific person, right? So that's the goal. So sample message. This is the message that got me my job. Generally, like sample message structure. You ideally, again, you want to reach out to people who you know, right? If you are doing a cold reach out, so a person that you don't know at all, you want to do some research, and you can say, like, for example, when I reached out to people, and usually those people replied, I would be like, oh, I saw this guy got a promotion, right? So he's a manager at this company, and I saw he got promoted to like a VP of engineering. And the first thing that I mentioned, I was like hello, like congrats on like whatever, getting promoted or something, right? So do some research and something that kind of would connect you with that person. Or like again, congratulate them on their accomplishment. If you were at the same event, definitely mention it. Like say, hello, whatever, Bob. I met you. Like it was very nice talking to you at this event, right? And then explain briefly what you're looking. Like I like again, it depends. You can make it very brief, right? Or if you're connected to the person, like in this case, I was, right? You can like briefly explain what you're looking for. So I said, okay, I know you're versed in Flutter ecosystem. I am actively exploring new opportunities in software development, ideally with Flutter and creating ML adjacent apps, and would greatly appreciate any advice and connections you can share. Would you be open? So the last very important piece, you always need to ask. If you don't ask, you will not get anything. Like you need to ask for something, what you want, right? In this case, again, you do not want to explain all of the situation in a text. You want to secure, your goal is to secure a conversation with them. So again, would you be open to meet like for a brief virtual coffee chat this week, right? Or whenever you're available, right? Ideally, again, you want to try to do it as soon as possible and be flexible, right? Like again, it can be either late at night or early in the morning or whatever, or during lunch hour. But anyways, how, okay, what did I do? Okay, sorry. How to structure a conversation. Once you secure, so again, the first goal, we kind of went through this, right? Why you want to talk to people is because again, you expand your network. How do you expand your network? Um, this is what we are going to briefly talk about now as well. But again, the time, basically the sequence of steps, mm, you find people, find the right people, right? So again, either within your personal network or LinkedIn or whatever, or during in at the events. Second step, message them, ask for as try to like again, your goal is to secure a conversation with them. Ideally 30 minutes. Like basically what I was doing, it was usually 30 minutes, right? So those 62 conversations, they were 30 minutes plus. Out of those 62 conversations, there was only one, like most of them were very positive. I think there was only one conversation that I really didn't like. And I was kind of just, oh, sorry, I need to run. So this can happen as well, right? So, like, because again, there are so many different personality types. You, like, again, there will be companies that are not a good fit for you. There will be companies that are fantastic, like a very good fit for you culturally, right? So it's also to keep in mind. Like, don't be discouraged if it's like, not a match, it's fine. But anyways, how do you structure? So imagine I met a Bob at or like I met a Bob at an event. I followed up on LinkedIn saying hello to Titan. Can we like? Would you be able to schedule like? It was nice meeting you. I'm looking for this. It was like nice chatting to you at the event with you at the event. Would you be able to scheduling a coffee chat with me? He says yes. We schedule a 30-minute call, and this is what we are talking about. So again, this is how I structured it, right? Like again, I'm talking about like my personal experience. So brief introduction. Again, you want to keep it brief. You are saying hello, like you're thank you for taking time to meet with me. Let me just start by a brief introduction of myself. So again, a 30, like 20, 30-minute introduction. So my name is Alexander. I am like a software developer and community leader, whatever, right? And then you're asking to introduce them. So you're basically ask them who they are, ask about their work history. So again, you initially, especially during the first part of the conversation, you should talk very little, right? You should just give a very small introduction, but then you should ask them about everything about themselves. So again, who they are, their work history, what they do, what their team does, what problems they're facing. And then as they're talking, so let's say this Bob, he's a VP of engineering at company A, and they're having like so I'm talking to him like about asking about his current role. He's saying, "Oh yeah, like currently we have this project. We are building this system, and we are trying to integrate this AI, like generative AI, into our application." And you are like, "Oh, that's great. Like I have experience doing this, right?" And then you would just give like basically you analyze everything that they're saying, what problems they're facing, and you extract like again those problems, and then you uh at the end you would highlight the relevant experience, right, with this. So again, in this case, if he's saying, "Oh, I know how to build," like, "Oh, I have experience with this," right? Or if you are like a co-op student and you don't have experience with this, you can say, "Oh, yeah, that's super exciting. I'm very interested in it," right? Because if you're a co-op student, no one expects you to have a lot of experience, right? Or any experience even. You just need to show interest and enthusiasm in this case. But if you have experience in certain areas, you would be like, "Oh, yeah, I know how to do this, or I've done this in the past. Yeah, it's very great." Like, so you kind of support conversation, right? And then, so again, the structure is you give a brief intro, you let them talk as much as possible, and you analyze. You should be an active listener. You should talk very little because if you start talking about yourself a lot, it will discard, like, they will basically not see a point in like the conversation will end quite very soon. People really like talking about themselves. Like, look at me, like I could talk about myself like for hours, honestly. But here, like it's just a human fact. Like people really like talking about themselves, so you need to let them do it, and it's beneficial for you in this case because you again, you analyze all the information, everything that they are saying, and trying to extract again all the problems they're facing. And then you would just again, like to support this conversation. Obviously, you don't want to make it feel like it's an interview, right? Where you just ask questions, but you just highlight all the relevant experience. And then the way a conversation should end is like a good conversation in my case, right? Whenever I count it as a success, either I got a referral for a job, right? So basically, what it means, it's you would get, you know how internal people can refer people to their organization. So they can generate a specific like link or whatever, right? You give them this email. And again, you want to ideally do it during the meeting because most probably they will forget afterwards. Because again, especially if you connect with people who are way senior than you, they don't have time, right? They are very busy. So you need to kind of cherish the time you have with them. So in this case, you would just again, ask them for a referral or introductions to other people. So and or, right? So it can be both. And you can be like, you sometimes there are like, I really love those people. They are really willing to help you. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there are some people who really just want to help others, right? But generally, like, people do like helping others, but like some people are like especially good at that. So they they can be like proactive and can even like I had probably like 10 out of those 62 conversations. They were like people were giving me recommendations. They were like, "Oh, I don't have anything like right now or whatever, but like connect with this person, with this person, with this person, with this person." And I have like five new contacts and I'm like, "Okay, that's wonderful. Great. Thank you." You know, and then if they can give me a like ideally again, you want to ask them to give an introduction, it will be way better. But again, key here is you want to figure out like you listen. You need to be an active listener and analyze, and then figure out their problems and offer solutions. And also, again, how do you end a conversation? Again, ask. You need to ask if they haven't like provided anything. But even if they gave you something, right? At the end, just is there anyone else you think you can recommend? Also, like again, basically ask them for a referral. If they like you, they will most probably give it to you. Because again, if they sat with you 30 minutes on a call, most probably they like you just because like they would probably drop, right? At that point, they would say, "Oh, like sorry, I need to run" or whatever, right? Um, or so that's why just ask for a referral or some introductions to people. Um, if they can invite you for an interview, then like that'll be fantastic. Like I had like only one conversation was like that, right, where they actually invited me. So just to give you some structure, like about how I found my job. So basically, again, what happened is I had a conversation with one guy. His brother was a like involved with the company that I work with, and I chatted with him. It was a very good conversation, but he didn't have anything right away. And then it was basically like January, like early January. And then 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from him, and he says, "Oh, I have this job. Like, whatever. Do you want to briefly connect?" And we connected. He like again, he didn't even look at my resume or anything. It was purely a like a conversation, like a little bit technical, just understanding if I can do this or that. Um, but I would say it was like a light interview where just kind of trying to get a gist of what I know, right? Or whether I can do like a certain task. But then again, if you're a co-op student, it's even easier for you because they would just like again, obviously you want to highlight all the relevant experience you have, right? So if they like the first interview I had, my mistake was they wanted to they were looking like for React developers or something, and for whatever reason, I started like citing all the experiences I have, and I was like, I know C sharp, I know this, and I was like all around the place, and it was irrelevant. Like you shouldn't do this. You should highlight again only what's relevant or what's useful to them. So like in this case, right? He asked me, okay, do you know how to write good Python or whatever, right? What are like the good like things like that, right? And be confident, do not like do not necessarily lie, but if you know that you can do this, say yes, right? Obviously, like you know what you can do. You might not have a lot of experience with this, but if you have a general understanding what's happening, like again, right now you have ChatGPT, you have like whatever, you will figure it out. Especially if you're a software engineer, this is basically our job, right? Is to figure stuff out and do research and um, yeah, basically find solutions to problem. Okay, okay, three. Oh my God, I'm way over time. Anyways, to go over it very quickly. 32 out of those 62 people were from this ADP list platform. What is this ADP? It is a very good resource for you to practice the conversation flow and have those initial conversations in a friendly environment. Because those people, so what is ADP list? It's a free meant free. Free is the highlighting in bold because again, especially when you don't have when you're short on money or you're a student, right? You cannot really pay for a lot of services. So that's why again, this is a free platform. And here you can filter for whatever industry you want. So in my case, it was engineering. And I was like, okay, let me filter. So here you do like country. So initially I was looking only in Canada, but the suggestion that I wanted to give you is like also expand into United States, right? So highlight it and then like show results. And here you probably also can like let's see, boom, language level, right? So you don't want entry level, you don't want intermediate, you want senior manager, director, lead, executive, founder. Those are the ones, right? You filter for them. Ta-dam. This platform has so many people, like I'm telling you, it's like people at Google, like people from Google, people from Facebook. Like even if you don't plan to work there and you're just interested in talking to them, those people put themselves on this platform because they want to talk to people. So just use this chance, and again, schedule a free call. So like for example, the cloud solutions architect in Microsoft. So connect with this person, right? And most probably again, they will give you a referral. Like engineer at Google here, right? I'm sure like there are again a lot of different companies and a lot of different sizes, but again, I'll quickly drop this link. Put a sorry, put a make a bookmark and just save it. Tips, figure out what you want to do, areas of interest. So again, try to generally understand what you are interested in. So in my case, again, I really wanted something to like I really wanted to work for a startup, right? Just because I really like the challenge and like kind of the fast-paced environment, right? I wanted that on purpose. Maybe in your case, right, you want something enterprise and you really want like a job 9 to 5 and that's it, right? In Figure out your areas of interest. So in my case, right, I really like Flutter. I really liked like again anything ML adjacent. So I really wanted to work with something machine learning related or something in that spectrum, right? Um, Again, ideally, if you can build a portfolio to summarize everything about you. First conversations, again, will not be perfect. My first week was horrible. Like honestly, I was like, it was so messed up. Like I'm telling you. So just don't be hard on yourself. The first week of your conversations, right? Especially with random people that you don't know, it might be weird and you might not necessarily know what to say. But again, I give you the structure, try to apply it, right? And then after like probably 5 to 10 conversations, this is when I started like being better at it. Then again, I really want to emphasize it. Look for jobs in the US just because again it's a way bigger market like population is 10 times bigger, right? And there are way bigger and richer companies there and they pay better. So also just again do not neglect this market. Even if you work like even if you are like an international student, right? And you are like, or for example, you need to be in Canada because of a work permit, or you still want to live in Canada, right? There are ways how people can hire you from the States in Canada, like through third-party organizations, for example, right? So they basically, it is always, or you can be a contractor. Like if you're doing co-op, you can easily do a contract, for a US company. You will work remotely, right? And it will be like cheaper for them to hire you because again, Canadians are cheaper in terms of labor compared to the States. And so it will benefit them and benefit you because again, they will probably pay you more and they will give like again, it's kind of US connections and US experience, right? And again, looking for a job is a lot of work. I know you have to put a lot of effort but again, it is possible. Market situation does not define if you can find a job. Again, I was looking for a job where it seemed like it was very hectic. Again, there were so many people like laid off from Google, from Facebook. And again, it's like it's a very high level and very high standard, right? And just but again, at the end of the day, you can find a job. I am the example, right? By networking, by connecting to people, by talking to them. Again, 80% of job market is hidden. Finally, the last slide, and then that's it. Mindset. So it's very important, to think positively always, right? And just like suggestion number one, never compare yourself to others because you can be like, oh, this guy found a job in 1 month and you like, and it will make you feel bad because you're looking for a job like you've been looking for a job for 3 months, right? And you still haven't found anything. But again, do not compare yourself to others because you never know what the situation there was. Maybe they had like a parent who works at the company or whatever, right? Or like, I don't know, they maybe got lucky or they had some special connections in there, right? Or whatever, right? Your situation is unique. Try again, just um, again, just do not compare yourself to others because it can make you feel bad. Have a mental break when you need it because again, as I told you, that first instance, right, when the role was canceled and I really wanted the job, it made me feel like mi miserable because I really like I felt like I got it, but then I was like something suspicious was going on. And this is when I literally got sick because my body like said, okay, enough. You need a break, you know? And I was just like a lazy potato in my bed, watching like random stuff, like on YouTube and doing nothing job search related. So you also need it sometimes, right? Especially after intense periods or whatever, right? Of job search. Be grateful, honestly, like be grateful for what you have. Like, you know, because like this is kind of what the mindset I'm operating with. Because you can um other people can be in way worse situations than you are, right? So just again, think positively, everything's good. Again, have a positive mindset. I know a lot of people are looking for jobs here and might be looking for jobs in the future, and it's hectic. It can be hectic. But again, if you apply networking and like all the tricks that I share with you, it will actually be easier for you to look for a job because again, talking to people is way more beneficial to your mindset and mental health and just network as well, right? Because again, it's better. Um, and you get yeah, if you get some rejections, again, a lot of people will say no. Be prepared for this. Just again, they say no, just move on. Don't be discouraged. Be grateful for those important. Be grateful for those rejections, even because you might not know what's good for you, right? So imagine you can be like, oh, like why did it happen to me? Like whatever, it's very bad. I really wanted this job, ta. But again, you never know. Maybe, you know, that company isn't the best option for you. And something down the line, like even like your like a very good job will show up even better than you expected, right? So this is kind of like a mindset I want you to all have, like to keep in mind, right? And ideally you can adopt it as well, because again, I operated with the mindset and I found it very helpful. So, and as I said, again, be grateful for those rejections because I had a lot of them, even because you might not know what's best for you, and something good will show up. It's a fact. So I will stop. Uh, if you if you want to, well, we'll be happy to connect on LinkedIn. Just again, I can drop this link in the chat. Just drop me a note because again, I can lose all of the. Oh my God, my brain is like shutting down right now. Uh, I yeah, we'll be happy to connect with you, but